quiet summer night suddenly explodes into a rain of color. Syracuse, fourth largest city of the Empire State, begins the celebration of a century of progress. This month of August 1948 belongs to us all, for we are the city. Everything about it, its homes, its industry, its culture, all are ours. And in this celebration, because we honor those who have gone before, we honor ourselves. The 16,000 villagers of Syracuse and Salina who voted for the creation of a new city in 1848 would find it hard to recognize the Syracuse of today. Then only a few men, among them our first mayor, Harvey Baldwin, had the vision of a distant day that would find us a great American city. 215,000 people, making us the 41st metropolis in the nation. Known as the city of diversified industry, we are among the leaders in commerce and education. Today, we look back upon the years that have gone and think of the years ahead. Here begins the exciting history of a great city, in a spectacle which was seen by thousands of people at Syracuse University's Archbold Stadium during the Centennial celebration. The story of our city, the Syracuse Centorama. Syracuse, united in progress, the youth of the city march forward together, ready to welcome the Queen of the Centennial, the leaders of the future, the Girl Scouts of America, the Boy Scouts of America, the National Campfire Girl, more leaders from our public schools, our parochial schools, and the city playgrounds. Now, the princesses of the court and their escorts. A salute to lovely Beverly Beauchamp, who has been acclaimed Miss Onondaga County. Her Imperial Majesty. For this week, in remembrance of our history and celebration, we welcome the reign of Queen Betty Michaels, Miss Syracuse Centennial. Sharing her throne is young Bruno Salafia, an ambassador from the ancient city of Syracuse, Sicily, who has flown 4,000 miles to be our guest of honor. In the royal court, the Queen and her guests gather to watch the Syracuse Centorama. The year 1570, and in the thick woodlands of New York, along the shores of its lakes and natural waterways, live 5 powerful Indian nations, each the enemy of the other. The Onondagas, the Cayugas, the Oneidas, the Senecas, and the Mohawks. But upon one thing all agree. All respect the wisdom of the great Onondaga chief, Hiawatha. He conceives a plan to unite the 5 nations for their mutual defense. He addresses the council and urges the formation of a confederacy. By illustrating how easy it is to break a single arrow, Hiawatha shows that one nation alone is helpless. But 5 arrows bound together are difficult to break or bend. Together there is strength. The decision is made, and with a dance to the Great Spirit, the tribes celebrate the newfound unity. His mission completed, Hiawatha begins the long journey home, little knowing that he has helped form the first League of Nations. In 1615, Samuel de Champlain passed through the northern part of Onondaga County to attack the Iroquois. He returned to Canada defeated and with the broken remains of his army. 36 years later, Pierre Esprit Radisson, probably the next white man to visit Onondaga, was captured by the Mohawks. He escaped, but was again taken captive and brought to the Onondagas, who entertained him as a guest of honor. Champlain the explorer, Radisson the adventurer, and now in 1654 came a gentle Jesuit priest, Father Simon Le Moyne. Coming as an emissary of peace, at the request of the Onondagas, who were tired of war with the Hurons and their French allies, Father Le Moyne arrives at the site that later was to become Syracuse. Visiting the springs at Onondaga Lake, he is warned that the water is unfit for drinking, because the Indians believe it contains demons or devils. Instead, it is salt, an element which is to change this wilderness into a great center of industry. The civilization of the white man comes to Onondaga. A year later, in 1655, Father Chaumonot and Father Dablon arrived to establish a Jesuit mission. Joined by more priests and some French soldiers, they build a wooden fort, Sainte Marie de Genentard. Today, a replica of this frontier French missionary outpost stands on the historic spot, symbol of a dauntless effort in a worthy cause. In a cathedral under the sky, the gates are thrown open. Services are for everyone. Within the next half-century, 3 missions are established at Onondaga. The cross takes root in the soil. In the years to come, many travelers move over the land, but few stay in the place that is destined to be called Syracuse. In 1751, Sir William Johnson stays long enough to buy Onondaga Lake and its shores from the Indians. But his heirs, being loyal to the king during the American Revolution, are forced to flee to Canada. With their right of ownership forfeited, the land once again belongs to the Indians. The Iroquois, who controlled the region for 2 centuries after the withdrawal of the French, finally find their power broken by the American army. Ephraim Webster, establishing a trading post on the west bank of Onondaga Creek in 1786, becomes the first white settler. Because of his honest dealing, a trusted friend of the natives. This proud Indian brave has a lot to offer. He wants a jug of firewater. But Webster decides he hasn't brought enough furs. Well, what else has he got to throw into the deal? Let's see. How about this? Okay, Chief, you've got a deal. Our first permanent settlers, Asa Danforth, his family, and his friend Comfort Tyler. The first to use the salt springs commercially, boil the water, and then scrape off the salt. No noonday whisk, but time for lunch anyway. 2 great men resting from their work. Comfort Tyler, industrious and public-spirited, a brilliant engineer who did much to improve transportation in these early days, and Asa Danforth, whom we call Father of Onondaga County, building the first home, the first sawmill, the first grist mill, and the organizer of the first militia in the county. By treaty with the Indians, New York State takes over the management of the salt springs. Land grants are made to soldiers of the Revolution, and those who see the future possibilities of the salt springs are quick to respond. They come mostly from New England and eastern New York. The practical Germans, the thrifty Dutch, and the courageous Irish. Some by boat, others on horseback and in wagons, and some who walk the land, looking for a place to build their homes. With no houses waiting, they meet in a clearing to share their common wealth and companionship. Through their many hardships, they do not forget to give thanks for their blessings. people together. And there is dancing and laughter. Games and fun. People alone. And the days ahead are long and hard. They say goodbye, each family leaving for its claim in the wilderness. Some to clear the forests and work the earth, some to trade, and others to develop the salt industry. All of them together, people of history. Naming a child is simple compared to naming a city. The committee of 11 solid freemen and voters, which assembles in 1820 to choose a name, finds this out pretty quickly. The village has already had 6 names. The first was Webster's Landing, then Bogardus Corners, Milan, South Salina, Cossett's Corners, and Corinth. But even Corinth had to be changed, as another post office by that very name had already been established. The first man to be recognized is John Wilkinson, the postmaster. He suggests the name of Syracuse in honor of the ancient city in Sicily. His reasoning is simple. Both have a harbor, lake, and salt springs. The old Syracuse was the crossroads of the ancient world, and here is a Syracuse which will become a crossroads of the modern world. There is discussion, and then a vote. The search for a name is over. By unanimous vote, Syracuse. The 21st of April, 1820, and Judge Foreman's dream of a canal across New York State from Albany to Lake Erie becomes a reality. For miles around, the people have come to watch the scheduled arrival of the Montezuma, a boat designed by Comfort Tyler. Syracuse is to get a 5-year head start on the official opening of the canal. But time passes, and the boat is nowhere in sight. There, it's coming! The cry of a young boy shocks the crowd into excitement. The latest dance sparks the celebration. This hour dates a new era in the history of Syracuse. For with the Erie Canal, a whole period of vast commercial expansion begins. James Geddes, who manufactures salt on a large scale, becomes responsible in large part for better roads and for the Erie Canal in this section. Salt and the canal form a combination hard to resist, and the settlers continue to come, bringing new dates for our history book. 1824, and the village of Salina is incorporated, to be followed a year later by the incorporation of the village of Syracuse, setting the stage for a famous rivalry. Salina has salt, and Syracuse has the canal. Each needs the other, but attempts at union fail, for each wants to be the leader. Then, in 1839, the railroads come. And in 1844, there begins a fight that results in the founding of a city. Entering the coffee house for an evening of dancing, the so-called stiff-necks of Syracuse are unaware that the tough-necks of Salina are preparing a surprise visit. The climax of many incidents that had prevented the two villages from combining under a single charter. This wild free-for-all quickly molds public opinion. Both villages decide to unite, and in 1848, a charter is granted for the greater city of Syracuse. Then, the first election. John G. Forbes, the Whig Party's candidate for mayor, and Harvey Baldwin of the Democrats. The citizens listen to both sides and try to make up their minds to vote. But away from the political arena, in the welcome quiet of the countryside, the salt vats lie unprotected under the threat of rain. Now the rain comes. The men are off to cover the vats. The women are off to cover their hats. Baldwin and Forbes stand waiting in vain. Salt comes first in this campaign. Friends, an election bulletin. Harvey Baldwin is elected the first mayor of Syracuse by a majority of 59 votes. Freedom-loving citizens protest bitterly against the fugitive slave law, which provides that an escaped slave must be returned to his master. In defiance, they organize a great anti-slave society, and Syracuse becomes the chief point in central New York for anti-slavery agitation. In 1851, from the balcony of Frazee Hall, overlooking Market Square, Daniel Webster speaks in defense of the fugitive slave law. We hear of persons in Massachusetts and New York who set themselves above the Constitution, above the law, above the decisions of the highest tribunals, and who say that this law shall not be carried into effect. You have heard it here, have you not? Has it not been said in the county of Onondaga? And have they not pledged their lives, their fortunes, and their sacred honor? For what? For the violation of the law, for the committal of treason to the country. For it is treason and nothing else. I am a lawyer, and I value my reputation as a lawyer more than anything else. And I tell you, if men get together and declare that a law of Congress shall not be executed, and assemble in numbers to prevent the execution of such law, they are traitors and are guilty of treason and bring upon themselves penalty of the law. No, no, it is time to put an end to this imposition upon good citizens, good men and good women. It is treason, 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 and nothing else. Depend upon it, the law will be executed in its spirit and to the letter. It will be executed in all great cities. Here in Syracuse, in the midst of the next anti-slavery convention, if the occasion shall arise. Then we shall see what becomes of their lives and their sacred honor. Four months later, that occasion does arrive, and Syracuse is forced into national attention. An escaped Missouri slave, William Henry, known to everyone as Jerry, has been a respected craftsman in a cooper shop here for some time. Jerry is seized at his work on a pretext of theft and taken before United States Commissioner Sabine. When the news reaches the convention, it quickly adjourns and goes to his rescue. But Jerry was a free man for only a few hours. This bold action of Syracuse citizens is carried by wire and press throughout the nation as men wait and wonder. Can the United States exist, half slave and half free? All too soon, the answer comes. Secession, Civil War. Captain John Butler and his colorful zouaves lead the way. Save the Union. And the men of Syracuse help answer the call to arms. The names of General Sumner, Colonel Walrath, Major Tracy, Captain Higgins, and Captain Jenny are linked with those of Manassas, Chancellorsville, Gettysburg, Richmond, and Appomattox. The 3rd Regiment of the New York Volunteers, the 12th, the 149th, and the 185th, filling the ranks of an army that kept a nation free. The strain of civil war gives way to unity and progress. Syracuse prospers and becomes a city of culture. In 1867, its leading citizens meet to consider founding a university. Hear ye! Hear ye! Hear ye! Hear ye! A public meeting of the citizens of Syracuse will be held at the City Hall tonight. Discussion will be the petitioning of the legislature to transfer Genesee College to Syracuse. Is Syracuse to become the foster father of a university? Genesee College at Lima has been supported by the Eastern Methodist Conference, which now wishes to find a more central location. At the present, the endowment of the college is $200,000. The conference is willing to double the endowment if a city in central New York will contribute $100,000 to its support. This town meeting will decide if the college is to come to our city. The first man recognized by the chairman is Judge George Comstock. He presents a bill to be brought before the legislature, asking permission for the city to issue bonds in order to raise the needed money. The judge points out that the college will mean much to Syracuse: educational opportunities, additional city income, new buildings, and more business. Spirited opposition is given the judge's plan, but a final vote carries the day in his favor. The legislature approves the bond issue, and Syracuse University is established. A credit to our city and to the country. The 11th largest university in the United States. The 20th century, and the pursuit of happiness is taken literally. Syracuse grows, and the people with it. Rapid transit, economic expansion, everything leading to a better life. Peace and prosperity and progress. Happy, carefree days with our troubles balanced on the spin of a high-wheeled bike. America laughs and sings, and we join the parade. Every occasion an excuse for a celebration. Let joy be unconfined. Ballyhoos, bicycles, bands, buggies, and bustles. We've got them all at our municipal picnic. Yes, these are the days never to be forgotten. Some of us know the story as it goes on from here. We've lived with it. We remember the war that was fought to end all wars. If you break faith with us who died, we shall not sleep, though poppies grow in Flanders' feet. Life stopping still in a world again at war. In men and materials, at home and overseas, on land and sea and in the air, Syracuse joins the fight. Will this be a symbol for a world at peace? Today, in a world slowly feeling its way toward lasting peace, we in Syracuse remember our heritage. These are the people of the city, our youth, our men and women. We are many people with many different names, but all American names. With our city, it is the same. Webster's Landing, Salt City, Typewriter City, Convention City, City of Roses, City of Diversified Industry, City of Opportunity, hub of the great Empire State. We have seen the history of the town where we live, and now the cameras turn to make us part of a new record. All of us have a lot to remember, a lot to pass on to the Syracuse of tomorrow. The freedom our people have fought for, the right for each man to live out his life in understanding and tolerance. The story of the Centorama is ended. Ours has been a proud and exciting past. Now it is our chance to write the history of the future. Of the heritage we will leave, there is no fear. For though we are all different, we are still together.